Hello and good morning. My name is Steve Pugh, and today I've decided to go for a slightly different version of the 9 a.m. kind of Q&A. Although I'm not actually a massive fan of Halloween, which actually you probably wouldn't believe by looking at this, I just thought it'd be quite cool to do something different. So with our kind of live stream Q&A thing that I do every week, I have a business course which is somewhere over there, which is now in 23 different countries, and it's all about helping you grow your business or career. It's a hand. Actually, I'm going to grab it just because that's the whole point. There we go. So it starts with a 216-page textbook, but it's this combined with, we do 4 classroom sessions a week that you can choose to join if you want or not. That's completely up to you. We do live Q&As, we do podcasts, we do interviews. And the whole point is that we make it as easy as possible to help you grow your kind of business or career. And then every Friday morning, I do a bit of a live stream, which is kind of what this is, which goes out on LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, and a few others. And basically what we do is talk about interesting stuff that people might not otherwise want to talk about openly or in a classroom session or whichever. And again, a lot of that is because often people want to start their own businesses but don't want other people to know and stuff as well. So I kind of do it this way, just so it's a bit more fun. Good morning, Simon, as always, and I love the emojis as well. So if you comment, it should pop up on the screen, and I love to know where in the world you're kind of from, what you're up to, what progress have you made against your goals this week. And the idea there is that often it's never one major thing which actually makes a huge difference in your business. It's hundreds of little things. And then what I always also like to do is kind of talk about my own journey, stuff that I've done, because as I spoke to some people this week, for me, the proof is in the pudding. It's actually what I do and how I evolve and what I guess you see what I do at my own business. Hopefully adds a little bit of credibility to when I'm teaching people about other stuff, because you see me do it. It's not just a kind of spout in theory. So what I wanted to do today, so it's Friday the 21st of October, is actually just do a bit of, basically I picked out 10 business horror stories. Obviously I'm playing on the Halloween kind of angle. What I'm going to do is kind of walk through them, talk it through, and just kind of clip up some different kind of ideas. But please get involved in the comments. And then likewise, if you have any business horror stories that you want to talk about, drop them in the chat. I would love to have the interaction or answer them or do whatever you wish. And hopefully for the next kind of 30, 40 minutes, this might just be a bit of fun. But if not, it might break up your kind of early start to the Friday as well. So before I kind of jump in, I always like to recap. So on Monday, I had the pleasure to speak to Laura. And what we did, she talked all about her journey, her business, which is Invisible Creations. And basically what we're having there is how you can help improve people's lives with giving more accessibility to generally older people, but actually it's a whole different spin on like the public kind of health and care sector. And really great entrepreneur, great team, great story. So I definitely recommend that you check that one out. And my next one, actually, because I'm having this office decorated, won't be for a few weeks. I'll probably still do the live stream, but not the interviews. They're going to pick up in mid-November, but hopefully we're going to upgrade a few different things for that as well. So in terms of today, I'm just going to grab a quick drink of water. I've got 10 different concepts. I'm going to walk through them one by one. If you've got any questions or whatever, please drop them in the chat. If you've got any comments or your own experience of different stuff, please let me know. And then likewise, if you love or hate the Halloween theme, also let me know, because I don't have to do it again. I was thinking about doing it next week, but up in the ante a bit more. But actually, I love the feedback, because the whole point is that I want this to be both useful, but actually quite interesting as well. So I always appreciate the comments. Good morning, Simon. And I love that people are getting involved with the emojis as well, which is class. So with the 10 business horror stories, what I've done is pick 10 things that I think are relevant to a lot of people. I could have gone quite niche on certain things, but actually that's not relevant to a lot of the audience who maybe aren't business owners or whichever. So I've kind of picked fairly 10 kind of broad ones. And again, as I go through each one, I'd love your kind of comments and thoughts and stuff. So the first one, in terms of a business horror story, is when you've got no inbound leads. So this is when you have your business, which is set up to do whatever it is that you kind of do. You've got your website there, you've got your social media there, but it's not really converting through to inquiries. Because one of the big things that we talk about on the course, and when you draw up your marketing funnel, most people in the world don't know who you are. So the first stage is about awareness. So you're actually still making progress, even if people haven't made the written or inquiry into you. If they just have an awareness of Shy Burns or Global Interview or the roadmap or whichever, you're actually still making progress, but often you don't see that until it kind of rolls all the way through. But actually it's really important to kind of do that. But then basically after awareness, you've got consideration, then desire, and then intent, and then kind of purchase. But the point is there's so many stages on what you're trying to do before people ever actually reach out to make an order. But it doesn't mean it's not working. And one of the things that I've seen with the roadmap, and actually I was at an epic event this week where I got to see face-to-face some real people for the first time, which is cool. But the thing that I always see is that there are a lot of people that kind of know and see what you're doing. Even if they don't interact with it, they still see it. So you're still making progress, which is really kind of cool. How to fix that kind of business problem? One, it could be that your business is just too early, that you haven't really figured out how to fit your niche. I'd say this is quite rare, but say when the iPad originally launched, it was called something else, and that was 10 years too soon, and people just weren't ready. So it could be that. Chances are it's your positioning in terms of how you're setting up the business, who you're targeting, but in reality it's probably to do with promotion, that you're not promoting enough, and that your promotion isn't as relevant as maybe it could be. And the way to fix that is to really do something we do on the course, which is basically you look at your customer persona, who's your target customer, what do they do, what do they think about, what do they buy, where do they read stuff, where do, how do you find them, and then actually just start promoting stuff. And one of the best ways to do that is to find a way which allows you to generate content where actually you enjoy doing it, but you can do it every week. Because the whole point is it's the consistency of being able to repeat the same thing week on week. Builds more awareness with more people that actually will then convert into more inbound leads, more consideration, and then through to eventual purchase. This process does take a while, but the point is often, it comes down to advertising and promotion. And one of the things that I'm now looking at with the roadmap is I'm kind of now at the point where I'm going to start paying to advertise, so Facebook ads and print ads in magazines. And it's now with that one, trying to get everything to the next base level of where you're really happy with what it is, how it looks, the product, that you're then trying to accelerate as well. Almost until that point, I've almost always been learning and iterating and learning off the guys. Good morning, Jacqueline. And it's that kind of process of just, doing it. But if you're not getting as many inbound leads and stuff as you wish you were, there are ways to fix it as well. But no, Jacqueline, thank you for getting in touch. I love it when people comment in the chat. And likewise, let me know. Most of these guys are in England or Scotland. But actually, we've had people join from Dubai and India and America and all over the place as well. So please kind of get in touch. I really kind of appreciate that. Next, so we've talked about when you've got no inbound leads, which is often when, people come to you because they want to buy your stuff. Then it becomes a different challenge about how you actually turn around those proposals, get them out, and start the machine working of a business. Generally, the more established you are, that happens over time, which is quite cool. But again, if you're early stage, don't kick yourself if it's not happening as much as you want, as quick as you want. It will come as long as you create a podcast or an interview or whichever that you can kind of do. And when I mentioned before about how you want something that you can do every week, which you actually enjoy doing, as I've said to Simon Rudd with his business Shy Burns, it's a mental health awareness charity with merchandise and t-shirts and hats and stuff, which I also have some. But actually Simon could talk to people similar to what I do about mental health issues, about charities, good causes, people that are passionate on the topic. But do that once a week or once every 2 weeks will just help keep you front of mind with people. And it doesn't have to cost anything. Yes, you can spend more to kind of do it a better level, but it doesn't have to cost anything. It's that kind of just repetition, really kind of getting yourself out there, which is quite important. Number 2, so this is to do with sales. So the first one was actually to do with awareness and activity and leads coming to you. Sales is the thing that people often always want. So this is when you're actually trying to get money in the bank for stuff. First thing is that people have to know who you are. So the more you can actually build your brand and have people like and trust you and what you're about and what the product is. We talk about on the course how you want to get that to 10 out of 10. You want people to really love and trust you, the product and the business that kind of stands behind it. But the big thing is ask. One of the, the classic things is that I think far too many companies just wait for stuff to come to them and it doesn't come in, and they maybe spend more money on marketing. But you always need the important sales part of the process, which is actually to reach out to people and ask, how can we be considered for your product, your business? We really love your business. We think we could do a great job for you. Next time you want to hire a PR agency, what could we do? How could we be considered? And phrasing it in that way isn't a hard sell. It's quite nice, but actually it's a way to add value, because what you're essentially trying to do is solve the pain point of a customer, that they have something that they struggle with that you could help solve. And if you pitch it in the right way, what you're doing is actually giving people solutions to the thing that they struggle with. So actually, as long as you're polite and that kind of thing, people often don't mind you actually reaching out to them. But in terms of driving sales and doing it consistently, is that actually it's only 3 in every 100 buyers are ready to buy at any one time. So say if I reached out to 100 people today to ask them about the roadmap, although a lot of people might be interested, only 3% of them might actually be ready and in a position to purchase today. So the point is not to get distracted or disheartened if you don't get, you do 50 and you don't get any bites or sales, because actually it's about the numbers game. So then when you want to track your KPIs, track your lead actions, actually monitor and manage your activity, keep track of who you've spoken to. But it is that balance of actually having to reach out, say hello to people and ask, and how you balance that with your marketing promotion to kind of do well. I'm just going to jump back to the chat. Good morning. LinkedIn user, it says, morning, Steve. Just because of sometimes it does this, I can't see who that is. So if you can put your name, it'd be awesome, just so I can give you a shout out, because on my screen, and actually it says you can see what I can see. So it just says LinkedIn user, so I can't see it. You're hidden behind the ghost, which is quite funny, actually. I'm always quite honest about how when I do these things, I actually only put all the graphics on this morning. And actually I didn't think of that, but I'm going to leave it because actually I quite like it. But anyway, but thank you for getting in touch, which is quite cool. Okay, so next, business horror story in the Halloween kind of theme. And hopefully people appreciate the lighting. I've kind of tried to make it a little bit different this week. Basically, it's if you lose a customer. So any business that has, well, if they're in business, they have customers. At some point, you are going to lose them. It could be that you outgrow them. It could be that they outgrow you. It could be that a new competitor comes on the scene that actually has a better offer. They could be cheaper. You might just get a bid wrong and actually the customer still loves you, but on that particular occasion, they just went with someone else. There's lots of different things, but actually in terms of business horror story, it can always be an absolute nightmare because you worry so much if you do lose a customer. A few ways to kind of mitigate and solve it. One is have a bigger spread of customers. One of the things that we talk about on the course is that it's much better to have 20 customers that are each £10 each than to have one customer that gives you £200. Because actually, if 100% of your turnover is reliant on one customer, if you lose them, you're kind of toast. As actually, if you lose one of the 20 or one of your spread of customers, it's not that bad. In practice, you never really want anyone more than kind of 25–30% of your revenue, which is cool, and it depends on your overheads. But the point is actually intentionally spreading your risk, even if you're making a ton of money from the start, always kind of makes sense. But in terms of, you get the inquiry, you tender for a piece of work and you don't win it, if you can, always ask for feedback, because then what you could do, it could be that something was a buying driver for the customer, which you didn't even think of, which actually you didn't sell in your pitch as well as you could have. It could be price, it could be lead time, it could be whichever. But the more you learn about the feedback about what didn't quite go right on this occasion, you can fix it for next time. And that's just a really important thing that actually it really kind of helps. And the second one is just be humble, so that they are in business in the same way that you are. That actually, sorry, I love the ghost thing. I love that you can't see it. Hi, Darren. Good morning. And Darren as well, I sent a lovely pack to your lovely partner from the RSPCA. Is it Stephanie? And again, what I'm really looking forward to this actually, is that a lot of this is aimed at private sector organizations and stuff. But the truth is, it's as true, it's 100% true for charity fundraising as well. So I'm really looking forward to, if she's up for it, really working with her to help raise money for the RSPCA and how can they do their promotion and fundraising in a way that it's not just business focused. So actually, but thank you for getting in touch, and hopefully her pack should arrive today, which is quite cool. Okay, so number 4 on the business kind of horror stories for this morning. It's if you take a bad job. So I've been there, most people have been there, where actually we all go through our careers. We all at some point tend to move jobs. It could be for promotion, it could be that you hate where you currently are, it could be to move house, there could be loads of reasons. I've had it in the past where I've taken jobs which on paper are good jobs, and I took it to get the experience, but actually I didn't really like or trust the people, but I did it for a reason. But it's very easy to take a job with someone and basically just find out that you're not the right fit for them. Maybe they're not the right fit for you, because actually so much of our work, well, so much of our lives is work. But actually, if it's not right for you, it can make you really unhappy. You don't want to come to work. That'll affect your mood and stuff at home. And I think if you ever, in terms of a business horror story, just find yourself in a bad situation, basically just don't wait. Don't be afraid to look around, find something different. Obviously, if you have commitments, which a lot of people do, bills to pay, mortgages, kids, whichever, I would say do it sensibly. But actually, be kind of honest in terms of just with yourself about what you want to do. But then likewise, if you're in a job and you've only been there 3 months, 4 months, and you kind of know it's not really for you, when you start looking at other jobs, and I spoke to someone recently, they were approached about a really good opportunity, but they were worried in interview that it makes them look bad that if they've only been in a job for like 3 months. And my point around this, and as someone who interviews people, just be honest about it. There's nothing wrong. If anything, you respect someone that said, look, an opportunity came up here, I took it. You might have been made redundant previously and it was just a part-time thing, or you just made the move and it wasn't the right cultural fit. You were sold a dream that didn't quite pan out. But the point is, the more you can kind of own the situation, if anything, it just builds trust with the people that you're talking to. But actually, don't let it hold you back. There's nothing worse than staying in a job that you hate, because it will make you unhappy. It won't help you progress your career or really kind of bring out your passions. And it was just a horror story that I kind of wanted to talk about. No, Darren, brilliant. And I'm really looking forward to working with her and everyone else. When I think I've mentioned it a few times, that because I've got a rebrand and an update and that kind of thing coming, the classroom sessions will start again soon. But what I want to do is, almost in the meantime, we have drop-in sessions where you can join at any point, to be honest. We do Tuesdays 3 p.m, Tuesdays 8 p.m, Thursdays 7 a.m, and then midday on Fridays, which is an hour where we come and walk through the course. We talk about interesting stuff. And especially in the drop-in sessions bit, if you've got an issue with marketing, how do we do this? We've got a problem employee. How do we make more money as a company? Whichever, just drop in the Zoom call. I'll be honest, at the moment, it's probably just me and you. So actually, we can have a good conversation. I allocate the time anyway. But the most popular ones, which we're going to start up again soon, we're going to jump straight into sales for a client on Tuesday 3 p.m s, and then we work through it. Because a lot of the stuff on the course, it does all interlink, but actually you could arguably start at any point in your career. So with a lot of people wanting to do sales, we're going to do that. But it's just an invitation to Stephanie or Darren or anyone who watches this. You can join any of the kind of sessions, and all the links and stuff are on social media. Okay. So in terms of business horror stories, the next one I'm going to do, and I've seen this a few times over my career. Again, my background is largely kind of offshore energy, so it's fairly big, high risk, difficult stuff. But basically it's when a contract kind of goes wrong. In the course, and it's in one of the strategy modules, we talk about risk and we talk about how it's really important. And actually I did it for the roadmap recently, to look through what are the biggest risks in your business, what can go wrong, what can kill you. Because actually a simple fix or something you can do in advance can actually make a massive difference to your business growth and survival. That means you just don't get torpedoed kind of down the line. But one of the big things is that when you take on a contract, look at the financial implications of it. Does it have something called liquidated damages? So that if you provide a piece of kit and it goes offshore on an oil rig, if it fails, are you liable for all of the resultant knock-on failures because of that one thing? Because if you are, that get really expensive. Or as a prime example, a lot of the stuff in my background is stuff that's installed over the back of a vessel. So if you deliver a day late, so the ship can't sail on time, are you liable for the day rate of the vessel, which could be £200,000, all the labour costs, all the knock-on costs, impact from the client? It's really, really important. So one thing that you want to do, and it varies on different people's businesses, is get your terms and conditions as good as you humanly can. Pay to have them done properly by a proper solicitor, because actually, trust me, although it might cost a couple of grand to kind of get done, the risk of not having it in place and not having these staff policies and procedures to actually how you implement your purchasing and sales and stuff in terms of your business is really important. So even if you have the paperwork on the terms and conditions, unless your team actually follow the process when they bid for jobs and actually include them with every correspondence, what you can do is get yourself into a really bad situation. It's really kind of important to do. And then likewise, at some point, because it will happen to a lot of people, when things go wrong, because it will, as a consultant, as pretty sure it's anything, just act almost with integrity, honesty, tell them what happened, and then be upfront about how you will do anything you can to solve it. And actually, I think that trust kind of really matters. Is that it's the classic kind of cliche, but people really judge you when things go wrong, and it's that integrity to kind of really do it. But in terms of just business risks and contracts, kind of always review what you're signing up to. But then likewise, if you can, and you should do, get your terms and conditions done properly and actually make sure you're legally protected so that you can't or are less likely to lose your house or lose your job or lose £100,000 or whichever, or even just lose your reputation. But it's just an horror story that I kind of wanted to talk about. I still find this quite funny. That essentially, although some people might watch this on their phone or just it pops up, I'm still in the room just talking to myself. But yes, I have the chat feature, but I do genuinely appreciate when kind of people get in touch and stuff as well. Okay, so horror story number 6. I was at a trade show this week. It was an epic Meet the Members event, really good actually. It was, I think, 200 to 400 people, about 70 exhibitors, packed room, and it was in the northeast kind of petrochem sector. There's a lot of really kind of cool stuff going on. But what was just quite funny is that over the past kind of 2 years with lockdown and COVID, there's a lot of people that you can interact with over streaming or whichever, but I'd never actually met in person. And obviously previously in my career until that kind of point, a lot of the relationship building was in person. So it was a really interesting thing just to kind of do. But again, if you go to exhibit a trade show, how do you make it worthwhile? How do you actually get interest? Because again, it's heartbreaking if you spend £500 to take a table and some roller banners at an event. Nobody talks to you. People just walk past and you leave going, fucking hell, that didn't work out. We didn't get any leads. What was it? It was no good. But there are things you can do to kind of help that horror story, because that's just not good for anyone. So basically, one of the good things that you can do in advance is your social media. Tell people we're going to be at this event on this day. Come and join us. We're on stand A57. What you're then doing is that people will just have a general awareness that you're at the show, which is cool. It actually creates content for you to talk about, because actually, we always talk about in the marketing and promotion, you want to be active just so that people, you don't overdo it, but you want to be visible on people's kind of radar. So actually talk about the things that you're going to go to. Basically, if you can, link with people. Actually, one of the things I've seen that has gone down really well, take photos with people on the stand, just catching up with friends. It's that kind of social side to it. Gets loads of likes, and actually, that helps build your reputation, and people talk about it and they comment, and what you're doing is creating really kind of good content that people interact with and gets really good kind of traction. But it's all also promoting your kind of your site and your business, and the fact that you were physically at the event. And I had this chat with people as well, is that it's very easy to fall into just doing online promotion, just social media posts and stuff. I don't think you can really beat also doing stuff in real life in person, because it helps build trust, so that even if people still interact with you online from Ghana or Nigeria or China or wherever, the fact that they see you actually at physical stuff with a physical stand and whatever, I think builds a lot of trust. So I think there's a lot of value there. But in terms of the actual interaction on the stand, there's two really kind of important things to do. One, often when you go to these shows, there are just rows upon rows upon rows of trade stands. And often it can be quite intimidating that you're walking between them and everyone's like got their big fake smile on and everyone's trying to grab your attention. But because of that, if you accept the punters, the people actually at the show, there's so much going on. Keep your message really, really simple. Often people have too much stuff going on with their roller banners and their headlines and stuff on the table, that actually what you're trying to do is get people's attention. If you can come up with some sort of phrase or slogan or reason for them to kind of stop at your stand. Things that always work well are, so it's like a business card draw for a prize. It could be some alcohol, it could be a tech prize, it could be whichever. But with those, People walk past and they just chuck in their card, so you don't often get the interaction, the details, the benefit from it. One of the things that I really like doing, but it could be that it's an engineering kind of thing, have some sort of activity on the stand where actually you get a score, and it could be a skill game, it could be something silly, it could be build the tallest tower out of Lego, whatever you want, but actually have like a scoreboard that says Steve Pugh 1 meter 20, Simon Rudd 1 meter 50, Darren 68 centimeters. But actually what you then do is over the course of a trade show, people want to be at the top, and especially if there's a prize for being at the top. But then what you do, and you get an interactivity, you get time to spend people, and you're actually giving people reason to interact with your stand. That actually, if it's just a tablecloth, just some flyers, and you're just trying to say hello, it's kind of a tough gig, and it was just a way to kind of think about stuff that you can do. But in terms of your messaging, if you can, just keep it simple. Make it clear what it is that you do, how can people benefit, and you really want to try and catch people's attention in like a second as well. So that's like a classic kind of mistake. So that was number 6. So what time are we on? We are on 9:23. I learned years ago that if you ever listen to radio or a lot of kind of Bloomberg or Sky News, they always do a time check. So I try and do it as well, just to try and be cool. But it's, and again, I like to watch those kind of things because I like to learn from it, because that's the level I want to build towards. That over time, hopefully you'll see the setup and stuff just get better and better and better, so that in 5 to 10 years time, hopefully it's at that kind of level, just in terms of business education and kind of making stuff accessible and really giving people access to it on their smartphones and that kind of thing as well. But so yeah, so it's 9:23. Next, in terms of the business horror stories, is actually if you make a bad hire. A lot of companies employ people, and it could be either as a contractor or as a paid employment kind of staff or whichever. And it's really funny because the recruitment process takes a long time. It's difficult. It's hard to actually, because people lie is the other side to, someone might say that they're brilliant at something, but actually you find out pretty soon afterwards that they can't do what they said they would. And it can actually drive a business, to the ground, because actually you put a lot of time and money and effort into it, but you could also lose 6 months. So let's say if you are a new startup and you're looking to launch a new product, if you bring in a bad salesperson, and from the point that they join to the point where they actually leave the business, actually no, it's worse than that. It's not even when they leave, it's when you then replace them. You could lose 8 months of poor progress in terms of your business if you had a bad salesperson. So in terms of if you ever have a bad hire, basically don't wait, act quickly. Your gut feel is probably massively correct in terms of, look, this person, nice enough person, but they're just not right for us for this job. So actually be it the HR official route where you performance manage them, and really kind of, look at their skill sets, what they do. But likewise, at least in the UK, basically within 2 years service, you don't have unfair dismissal rights. So you don't actually necessarily need to give a reason why you're going to end their employment. It's harder after that, where you then get into a different process. But this is almost when you make a bad hire and you have bad people, like pretty quick, kind of what to do. But basically, pull the trigger quick. If you can, especially if they're a bad influence, also get them out of the business quite quickly. There's nothing worse than if you have a poison apple that brings their team down, they're negative, they're disruptive. I would almost just get them out of the business as quick as you can, as cheaply as you can, and then look at how next time to replace that person, kind of, I guess do it a little bit better. You do have recruitment consultants and firms that you can work with. And I think the word there is consultant. So it's almost where, be honest with them. What are you looking for? What's the personality type? What have you tried in the past that maybe did or didn't work? And really kind of be honest about how you do that. But then likewise, when you actually meet with the people and you go through the CV and you kind of interview them, I guess, be honest about what you expect, what the KPIs are, and almost what they'll be doing in their day-to-day kind of task. Because if you say to them, look, we need a really good salesperson who isn't afraid to hit the phone and do this, 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 and this, and we expect you to make 10 phone calls a day, etc. When they then start the job, they know what to expect, but you both start on the kind of same position where it's a very honest relationship, where you're both on the same page. But if you have a business horror story where you recruit someone that you kind of regret, I would just pull the trigger as quick as you can and kind of move on. And hopefully that was useful. Number 8 is surprisingly common, and this is true for business owners and people in their careers. And it's basically when you're just not enjoying it anymore. We've all been there, that it could be to do with the environment, it could be the product. Actually, a lot of entrepreneurs kind of just lose the passion for their particular thing and they just don't really enjoy it anymore. They might have been doing it for 10 years and they've kind of just lost the love of it. First thing to do is actually take the time to reassess, what is it you actually want to do on the course, or you can do it obviously anywhere. There's an exercise called Ikigai, which I've mentioned before, and it's really trying to find your passion, your vision, your purpose. What is it that you enjoy? So imagine money, no object. What would you actually do just out of fun to kind of, find whatever you do next? What does the world need? Because again, you might love to do something really fancy, but actually if nobody else needs it or wants it, it's hard to then make a business out of it. 2 or 3, what are you good at? Because again, there's no point launching a business if you're terrible at speaking to people or business strategy, if you know what I mean. So almost, if I can't sing, so if I wanted to become a professional singer, doesn't matter how much I love singing, it's kind of not going to work. So you have to be good at it. And then actually, last but not least, what will people pay you for? Because it's great to have a hobby and a passion, and that's what those exactly are, and you can build that in your spare time whilst you work in a job. But actually, if you want to build a business around it, it also needs to be something that people are willing to pay for. But if you get all 4 correct, something you really kind of love doing, and that's something, a previous guest, Rob Barker, we talked about, we talked about job crafting, and it's something I've tried to do at the Roam Up. I love talking to people, I love using my brain, I love tech, I love, but it's that. So find something that you really love doing, something the world kind of needs. So for me, it was making business education accessible, that if you can afford a full 2-year MBA, 20 to 40 grand, 2 years off work, go and do it. I'm sure you'll love it. But actually it's for people that are busy, they're working parents, they've got a busy career, and they want to learn a lot of the same skills, but in like 2 minutes, not 2 years. That's where I kind of fit. Will people pay for it? Hopefully. I believe it fits in the market and trying to deliver value to people, and I'm hopefully quite good at it, because I do this and I get paid to help grow and turn around companies as my day job. That hopefully adds credibility to what I'm doing. So in terms of how you can find your passion and almost develop a business or career that you enjoy doing, really look at the Ikigai exercise, because actually I think it's really kind of valuable. Yes, Simon, I was reading your comment. It's a really good point. Yeah, you always kind of want to treat people well. I think it's good. What else did I cover? Yeah, and then last but not least, a big thing again in terms of how almost falling out in love with what you do. Figure out actually, what is it would you like to do? Because a lot of people want to start a business, but it is tougher than you think. So then look at actually, can you afford to do it? And what's the time scale can you afford to do it? One of the things that I think is quite important is to know that you've got the runway of cash. So that, I had 2 years worth of money, so that if I never made a penny, I had 2 years to kind of make it work before I'd run out of cash. Not everyone has that kind of, situational benefit, but I think you want at least 6 months at least. And if you're clever, start to, tee up your first customers whilst you're still in a job. That way what you want to do is get to the break-even point where you're not losing money each month. And then you've got a platform to build from, to grow, where you've got more money coming in than you have going out. But last but not least, make the jump. It's always easy, and I see this all the time. People stay in jobs that they hate. It's easier, it's the devil that but actually if you genuinely want to kind of change your business or career to something to follow a passion, at some point, once you've figured out what that is, can you be paid for it? Have you looked at financials that you can actually make it work? It's actually having the kind of the balls or the bravery to actually jump and set it up. I don't regret doing this, but there's still been kind of tough times, and I'm someone that teaches people to do this. But actually, if you've got a good kind of community and that kind of thing, I think it's really kind of worth doing, but only if you plan it properly first. Okay. So last but not least, we've got 2 more in terms of business horror stories for this kind of mini Halloween edition. It's 9:31. It's what happens and what do you do if your business starts to run out of money? So there's a lot of variables in this to do with different types of businesses and how much money and what your lead times are and that kind of thing. So I'm going to try and keep it fairly general, but if you've got any questions or comments, please drop them in the chat. So again, if your business starts to run out of money, first thing you want to do is actually reduce your overheads and expenditure. I would actually say do this anyway. So even if you're doing really, really well, always look at, is there anything that you pay for that isn't really essential, that doesn't deliver value to you, and do you really need it? Often when you have, it's like a leaky bucket. So you try and build up your cash reserves, because the more cash you have in a business, the more you can invest back into tech and systems and advertising and staff and new product development and all this really kind of cool stuff. So the more cash and the more money you have, the better and the faster that you can grow your business. So if you can, but especially true if you're kind of losing money, maybe you lost some customers, whatever, really look at your overheads. And actually you have to be pretty brutal with this. In former companies, what we've done is that there was one which was losing a lot of money after the oil and gas kind of downturn, is you draw out the org chart, and this is brutal, but you almost have to look at what is the skeleton crew to keep the business alive long enough to basically wait for it to pick up again. And that was literally with a marker pen, crossing out people's names to figure out what business would survive at the required level just to keep you alive. Because again, if the whole business goes under, if you do nothing, everyone loses their jobs. And again, if the business goes under, you can't then recover and re-employ them. So it's a difficult task to do, but it is really kind of important. Next, you then want to look at actually which products within your business actually make you any money. All businesses, and it'll be true with me, that you will have clients and products and services which actually for whatever reason just don't make as much money as others. So you really want to know which products or services actually make money, and then put more time and effort into those, and maybe ditch the ones which aren't as profitable or they could be a loss leader. But you really need to know the performance of different parts of the business, different products, to be able to make that decision. But it's really, really important. Next is almost the lifeline. So I would speak to the bank, speak to your finance providers, look at any way to either reduce the debt, change the debt payback term, speak to your customers, speak to your suppliers in terms of, are you meant to pay someone on 30 days? If you're honest with them and say, actually, look, this has happened, do you mind if we pay on 60 days? Whilst they won't like it, they will respect you telling them, because again, if you do nothing and you go bust, they're probably not going to get paid. So it's that honesty of like almost doing it. But the longer you can extend your lifeline to give you the float, to keep you alive, keep you in the game, the more likely you are to kind of survive and rebound from it. And last but not least, and all of these things should be done in parallel, is go out and sell the hell out of whatever it is that you do, in terms of your customers. You want to go out and ask as many people as you can, is there anything we can help with at the moment? Do you have anything coming up that we can support? And basically do that across your whole kind of product customer line. Because actually what you're then doing is that in every business that I kind of work with, they all have customers, and some of them you might not have worked with for 6 months or a year or 2 years. But the more, even just the process of reaching out, say, look, we're still here, can we have a chat? Is there anything we can help with? Have you got any projects coming up? It puts you back on their radar, because it could be that they kind of just forgot about you and started to use other people. But what you're also then doing is trying to, obviously find new sales leads and that kind of thing, which is cool. And again, on those, you really want to focus on the low-hanging fruit. So you want to focus on the contracts and projects which are realistic and going to happen quickly, because again, what you're trying to do is get cash into the business. It's always easy to get attracted by the really exciting long-term potential of stuff, which could happen and be really profitable in a year's time. But if there's only a 10% chance of actually coming off and it's not for a while, it's not going to keep you alive. So you always want to chase the real low-hanging fruit first, and the bigger, longer term projects if you can. But the point is you want to do all of those. So it's reduce your overhead, basically look at all of your product line, your profit margins, which products are valuable. Do you kill ones that kind of aren't? Speak to your bank, funding provider, whoever, to basically give you more of a lifeline and time, in terms of just to give you more time to turn it around and survive, I guess. And then basically sell the hell out of whatever it is that you do. Speak to customers, do promotion, get out there and really kind of sell. And then likewise, if the business does fail or not, quite end the way that you want it to, at least hopefully you will know that you did everything you humanly could to really kind of turn the business around and do a good job. If it doesn't work out, what you don't want to do is kind of limp and then die in a hospital bed just because you haven't really done everything you could to reduce your costs and sell to customers and really kind of fight your way out of it. So that was just something that I wanted to kind of talk about. And then last but not least, so this is number 10 on the horror stories in terms of the Halloween special for the kind of roadmap kind of live stream, is if you have a new competitor arrive on the scene, and what do you do about it? Because almost for every business, we all do stuff. And it doesn't matter if you're a theatre company or a chip shop or a consultancy firm or an engineering firm or a bakery, whatever it is that you do. If a rival bakery opens up across the road from you, you're not going to enjoy it. You're going to worry about them stealing some of your customers, if not all your customers. And then the whole point is, if someone new arrives on the scene in terms of your business, what do you do? How do you react for it? And how do you actually kind of make it work? Because the first one is almost, you just need to accept that it's happened. In business, it's like sport, it's competition. So you can't, if you sit on your laurels and just do the same thing for 10 years, someone else will come in and just blow you out of the water. So you need to constantly look at it. But actually, when the new competitor kind of arrives, look at them, look at what they're good at, really look at their website, what's their messaging, how are they positioning themselves? And if they're clever, what they will have done is looked at the market, which will include you. They will have tried to find what their niche is, and they will often be promoting that. But then what you want to do when you're trying to kind of launch or grow your business, it's in module 7 on marketing, and it's about your positioning exercise. It's how do you fit in your market, and how do you compare against all of your competitors? And it could be, so what we do is we plot 2 axes. One could be price, one could be quality, one could be, basically it's whatever you want. And you get a feel for how you sit. Sorry, my voice is going a bit. There we go. So when you actually plot out different axes, it could be quality versus price, it could be ease of use, it could be lead time, delivery. But the point is, the more axes that you actually draw out, you versus your competitors, it might be that your competitor actually has a better product. It's more expensive, but you have to admit it's better. But it might be that they take 6 months to deliver their product to customers. And that could be true with the new kind of competitor. So what you want to do is really look at the position and look at the market and see what is your USP versus this new player, but also against everyone else. And then adapt your promotion to fit. So it might be that your USP, what makes your business special, it could be lead time, it could be quick delivery, it could be that you make the best product, it could be whatever you wish. But the point is, then go hard on terms of how and when you promote that to really make sure that the audience really understands what makes you better, what makes you special. So that even though there is a new competitor in town, you've almost, through looking at them and respecting what they do and what they're good at, change your style, change what you're doing to actually be more effective in your kind of market share and what you're trying to do. Often if you stay exactly the same, you're probably going to lose. And if they're good, they might be rubbish. They might not have even thought about brand positioning. But the point is, there's a lot of stuff that you can do which will make a massive difference in terms of your general kind of future promotion and success. But it's definitely a business horror story if another kind of competitor shows up. And this is hopefully just a quick idea about how to deal with that, how to react. And yes, I think, you want to play to your strengths. Every business should really know what it's good at and actually just own it, own that space. For me, I'm hopefully getting quite good at live streaming. So I'm kind of, really kind of playing hard on this. But any of my competitors could copy, they could set something up. But actually, I think it would take quite a long time to do it. It'd be quite expensive to do it. So actually, that almost, the more time and effort I put into this and the textbook and the course, it makes it harder and harder for someone to copy. And that's the kind of how you can protect and grow your kind of business. So we're at 9:40, that is 40 minutes of constant talking. That's why my voice is gone a bit sore. So it's Friday, the 21st of October. Actually, it's been a really good week for me this week. My sports kind of picked up again, so my basketball league's picked up, so my fitness is starting to come back. For anyone that's watched the stream for quite a long time, especially during lockdown, it was something that I really wanted to get back on the horse with, so that's quite cool. It's been great to see people in person. It's great to see things kind of happening again. But I think the big thing is now that the world is starting to change again, really, if you can, stay on the forefront of whatever it is that you do. Always look to see how you can improve, what you can do. And then likewise, if you ever want to do or learn a bit more about your business or career or how you can help grow and take that next step, please kind of get in touch, drop me a DM, or you can get in touch on the website or any of the socials. They all kind of come to me. I'll, happy to help you. And we've got some cool new stuff launching soon. But anyway, I'm going to call it quits on that one. Thank you if you got involved in the chat today. This will all get clipped up and go onto YouTube. And I've got some other stuff coming soon where I'm going to hopefully be able to broadcast on more channels at the same time as well too. Have a wonderful weekend. I don't really know what else to say, but have a great day, and hopefully I'll catch up with you soon. All right, cheers guys. Thank you. Bye bye.